What up, YouTube Live? How's it going, everybody? Welcome. This is yours truly, Rama Screen, covering movies, TV, and entertainment. Is this too bright? The light? Let me know if it is too bright. I can dim the lighting a little bit. Um, right now is Friday night, September 27th, 2019. And you know what? I can't wait till next week to talk about this. Mainly because next week I will not be here. I'll be away in New York City to cover New York Comic Con 2019. Next week, of course, as you know, is when the movie Joker hits theaters nationwide, worldwide, even. That's when it officially opens, October 4th. So, since I'm not going to be here, I can only talk about it right now. There have been many. What's the word I'm looking for here? Humpapalooza, if that's even a word. Many talks, many discussions ongoing about this movie because, well, you know what? Let me give you the timeline. Let me give you the context. So, Joker, as you know, is directed by Todd Phillips. He co-wrote it as well. And then it stars Joaquin Phoenix as this guy named Arthur Fleck, who during the day, he's like a clown for hire, if you want to hire him for bar mitzvah or birthdays. And at night, he is an aspiring stand-up comic, but he's not very good at it. So that's the gist of it, all right? The movie premiered at Venice Film Festival, and it won their top prize there at Venice Film Festival. I got to watch it at the Toronto International Film Festival, which is a week after Venice, earlier this month, September. So, there have been, you've probably seen a lot of YouTubers out there, or maybe pundits on television discussing, oh my God, Joker is too violent. It's ultra violent. How dare this movie? But if you ask many of them, like, have you watched the film? They're like, no, I haven't. then why are you like, really? I mean, I saw this one YouTuber last year. No, not last year. This past year, I'm sorry. This past year, earlier this year, I should say, when Green Book won Oscar for Best Picture, right? That movie also divided a lot of audiences, understandably so. But this one YouTuber was so fired. He's like, oh my God, I can't believe it won Oscar. Like, what have we come, to as a society? Have we come to this point in our lives, really, that we give something like, despicable as green? But then he actually himself said in the video, well, I actually haven't watched it yet, but I've heard stuff. That's enough. And he just cast judgment on the movie without even seeing it. So, I think I don't want to toot my own horns here, but and many of those who were at the Toronto International Film Festival and Venice Film Festival, I think we are the ones that are pretty credible enough to be discussing this, or at least to give you guys our thoughts about it. The ones that actually have seen the film. The film also has screened to a lot of press here in LA this past week as part of the junket, which unfortunately I was not invited to because Warner Brothers doesn't like me for whatever reason. But that's neither here nor there. So yeah, I've seen the film. I think I'm more than worthy enough to speak about it. Okay. So in Toronto, in Venice, Joker received lots of praise. Like I said, it won their top prize there. In Toronto International Film Festival, to my recollection, it received mixed reviews, mixed responses from those of us who attended the screening. I love the movie. All right. I freaking love the film. I gave you my review of it, non-spoiler review. All right. You can check it out here on this channel. I'll provide the link also in the description box. Um, but I thought the movie was a masterpiece. I'm not gonna go, more into that. You can watch my video review of Joker. So I'm on the camp that loved the film, but in Toronto, there's also the camp that hated it, and many of their reasons have to do with this Humpapalooza. Oh my God, it's too violent, too dark. One of the critics that I admire, I forgot his last name, Scott something. There's a lot of critics with Scott A.O. Scott Menzel, Scott Mans. There's this other Scott who I follow on Twitter, and he also he tweeted out after the screening of Joker. He's like, "Oh, I don't know if the timing of this movie is appropriate. Appropriate because the movie has, it kind of has the character kind of goes into anarchy, especially in a time in our society where we have mass shootings and gun violence, and I don't know if this is the right time. It's a good movie." He said it's a well-made film. Cinematically it was awesome, but basically he's cringing. That's his reaction to the film. He's kind of cringing. This is uncomfortable, but it's good. The movie's, it's well made. And I tweeted back at him like, "This is not cool, okay?" Because, all right, so I'm gonna get to my opinion. I'm gonna save that for my opinions and at the last. Let me get back to the timeline or the context. So, so it kind of snowballs the controversy about the movie being too violent. And what happens next is that the families and the parents of the victims of the 2012 Aurora, Colorado, Colorado theater shooting. Remember that? This crazy nut job went into the theater at the midnight screening of The Dark Knight Rises, and he shot up everybody. A lot of people died. It was horrible. And some people say he dressed up as the Joker, but I don't think it was specifically a Joker costume. Some say he was wearing something more tactical, like an army style. But whatever it is, it was during the midnight screening of The Dark Knight Rises. Not even The Dark Knight. The Dark Knight had Joker in it, played by Heath Ledger, but it's The Dark Knight Rises. And so it was horrible. And so the families of the victims of Aurora wrote an open letter to Warner Brothers Studio, which releases this new Joker film. I don't have the letter verbatim here on my screen, but basically, in a nutshell, they're not asking the public to boycott the movie. The letter is not like, "Yo, let's not go see this film, everybody." No, it's not like that. The letter is basically, and I think it's signed too by the families. It's a letter to Warner Brothers addressing to Warner Brothers that they have concerns. The families, have concerns about the movie's character's origin story, Joker. And then they end the letter with like a call to action, asking Warner Brothers to please don't give any political contributions or, campaign financial contributions to any political candidates who take money from the NRA. Don't support any political candidate or a politician that votes against gun reform. So that's basically the gist of the letter. And Warner Brothers responded. Let me read to you their statement. It says, "Gun violence in our society is a critical issue, and we extend our deepest sympathy to all victims and families impacted by these tragedies. Our company has a long history of donating to victims of violence, including Aurora, and in recent weeks, our parents' company joined other business leaders to call on policymakers to enact bipartisan legislation to address this pandemic. At the same time, Warner Brothers believes that one of the functions of storytelling is to provoke difficult conversations around complex issues. Make no mistake, neither the fictional character Joker nor the movie is an endorsement of real world violence of any kind. It is not the intention of the film, the filmmakers, or the studio to hold this character up as a hero. And then this other thing also happens. Before I give you my opinion, um, this is from the website Gizmodo. Apparently, they reported that the U.S. military has warned their service members about potential mass shootings happening in the upcoming screenings of Joker. So that sparked concern. It's like, oh my God, how do they even know this information? Like, holy crap. So they're like alerting their service members, hey, if you want to take your families with you, or if you want to go to see this movie, just be careful, be warned, okay? And they said that the website says uh, the U.S. Army confirmed on Tuesday that the warning was widely distributed after social media posts related to extremists classified as incels were uncovered by intelligence officials at the FBI. So they instructed their service members to remain aware of their surroundings, to locate their escape routes when entering the theaters, and then do the whole run, hide, fight um, scenario in case it does, God forbid it does happen. So that's like, wow. When I read that, I was like, geez, really? It got really that bad? Like, was there really a threat? Like a warning? And if you're wondering who are these incels, well, incels are it's I think it's a short for incelibate. It's it's these dumb assholes who basically they can't get laid, so they blame females, for them not being able to get laid. It's so dumb. It's so like one of those insecure group of people, group of men. Um, but unfortunately, some of them also have committed murder. I think there's one that I'm sure you've heard from the news. This one guy, this one incel, went into this yoga place and shot up and unfortunately killed a bunch of women there. It's a yoga place, I believe. And yeah, so that's what incels are, if you're wondering. Um, and I think that's it. That's the timeline and the context. Oh, I forgot, which leads us to today. Warner Brothers announced today that they have disinvited a lot of the press members, print and broadcast journalists, from tomorrow's red carpet premiere of Joker, the US premiere. Remember, it already premiered in Venice and then Toronto, and now it's having its US premiere tomorrow, which will be at TCL Chinese theaters. So Warner Brothers says that they're only going to allow photographers only. So they will restrict access to interviews, no interviews whatsoever, leading up to the release of the film. But they did have press junket last week, and there were only a few press members that were invited. By few, I mean press members that the Warner Brothers knows that these guys will not ask hard questions, because these guys, these like Jake Hamilton and some of these interviewers, they throw softball, to the middle of the court. they're fluff question interviewers. They're the kind of press that studios love to invite because they don't rattle anybody's cage. I know, you know them, right? So there you go. I give you the timeline, the context. Now let me give you my opinion. Let's start with the victims or the families of Aurora, Colorado, and their open letter. My thoughts about that is, I get it, man. I get it. You were victims, and you are victims, and nobody's taking that away from you. If you have grievance and concerns, then those grievances and concerns are valid because of the horrific stuff that you went through. um I'm not gonna attack them. I totally understand. I can't put myself in their shoes, obviously, but it's horrible what happened to them. So for them to have an open letter like this to WB, that's fine. That's fine. They can do that. They can totally do that. All right. They're concerned citizens. They're allowed to do that, and that's totally fine. Um, and Warner Brothers is a big enough studio, is a rich enough studio. They're gonna be fine too. And like they can handle Warner Brothers can handle a little heat, a little anger, a little not anger, a little concern from some folks. They can take it, right? Warner Brothers is not a victim. The families are. So, um, do I agree with the call to action? Don't donate money to any politician that is supported by NRA. Hell yeah. Hell yeah, I agree with that. Seriously. And I think that should be where the attention, you know, should be focused on. Um, because a lot of the people who are supposed to represent us, unfortunately, they're not representing us. They win their elections, they get into the office, and they end up only representing their donors. Um, and one of them is NRA. So yeah, I agree with them as well. The call to action. Um, but I also have to side with WB. The last part of their statement, and this is why I disagree with that film critic Scott. I can't remember his last name, the one that tweeted out that stuff that I said earlier, because it's counterproductive if you say, "Oh man, oh, this movie's too violent, too dark, not cool, not cool." Kids are gonna see it, and then kids are gonna walk out of the theaters, and they'll be brainwashed, and they're gonna pick up AR-15 or AK-47, and that's it. The end of the world, anarchy, riots on the streets. Come on, come on. Do you honestly believe that? Um, I've watched movies all my life. Many of them are violent. Um, None of them affected me in a way that like I need to pick up a gun after watching them. Um, so this narrative of like, oh no, it's too violent. Tone it down or edit it out, make it PG-13. I hate that. I hate that, man. I hate censorship in general too. But you know, you can't. That argument feeds into the misleading opinion out there that says, "Oh yeah, the cause of mass shootings, blame it on the video games, blame it on the movies. Yeah, they're the ones to blame. Don't look at the fact that we're as a nation we're drowning in guns. No, 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 no. Look at this way. Look at the movies. Look at the video games. Look how horrible they are. See, when you're presenting such argument, you're feeding into that. You're giving sort of validation to that misleading opinion, that misleading talking point out there that blames movies and video games for gun violence. I came from Indonesia, all right? The people in Indonesia, they also love playing violent video games. I know. I grew up there. We also love watching violent movies. Um, but the rate of mass shootings, low, low. Japan is the biggest population, that the biggest fandom of video games, violent video games. The biggest gamers. You think gamers are hardcore here in America? They're hardcore there in Japan. But the numbers of mass shootings, low to zero. So for the people who not the families in Aurora, Colorado victims, they're on their separate group. You know, we gotta feel empathy for them because of what the horrific thing that they went through. But to the opinions and the arguments out there, they're like, oh no, this is not good. This is not good. It's gonna it's gonna result in people shooting things up on the streets. You know, if they watch this movie, like, okay, um, how many other violent movies I've seen all my life? Let's see. I can't remember on the top of my head. I know a lot of them probably were directed by Martin Scorsese, but um, okay, Natural Born Killers. I remember Natural Born Killers. Remember that movie? Oliver Stone. I was a teenager when it came out, but I remember everybody was like, "Oh no, Natural Born Killers, no!" Like, "Oh my god, it's gonna cause people to go insane, just like the characters on the movie." That's it, man. That's it. That's what else? Well, this is not so much of a violence, but when the movie The Wolf of Wall Street came out, remember that? The criticism also like, oh my god, too much sex, too much nudity. Oh, it's so much, too many breasts, too many, I was like, oh, people. So there's no, like, you can't, yeah, number one, no matter what filmmakers release out there, there's always going to be people being outraged for whatever reason. All right. If it's not Joker, something else will come up in the near future and they'll be outraged about that too. So isn't it exhausting to be having to always kind of like responding to every single outrage? You know what I'm saying? How many more? When will it end, man? It's just like it's a movie. Um, we do have problems in this country. There's not enough facility and funding for mental illness, unfortunately, um, and the fact that mentally ill people can easily access guns. They can go to a gun show and bam, buy freaking machine guns right there. No background check whatsoever. It's so easy. So, but I don't want to get into that. It's a whole rabbit hole that if we go down that, it'll take hours. This is not a politics channel, but my point is that to the argument of like, oh my god, this is too violent, really. So Joker, it's 90 years of cinemas. It's been 90 years since movies, the dawn of movies. All right, and Joker is like the most violent that you've seen, really. So, where's your outrage about the Silent Hill? Where was your outrage? And also, here's the thing too. Another violent movie. And this is comic book violent movie, right? R-rated. Deadpool and Logan. Deadpool and Logan were violent. They were R-rated, graphic too, and people loved it. So what? So the argument is like, okay, so if Joker had more comedy, if Joker had like comedic moments like Ryan Reynolds, or maybe if Joker was a likable character like Logan, then maybe people won't be thinking like, oh my god, it's gonna cause violence. I just don't understand this really this anti-Joker argument out there about that. You know what I'm saying? Now, I've seen the film, which is where the spoilers come in. All right, so heads up, here's spoilers. The movie does. Okay, I mentioned in my review that it is a story of somebody with mental illness, but it's also a story that's familiar in that it's about this guy who, his buttons keeps getting pushed by everybody. Everybody's just making fun of him. Everybody's just like pushing him into the corner. Everybody's shitting on him. So, it all leads to like eventually, ultimately, he had it up to here, and he lashes out. He retaliates. Um, he shoots up some of those people. He kills some of those people. Because like, oh, you guys keep bullying me, so I'm gonna, retaliate. So that's basically the gist of the film as well. In addition to the exploration of mental illness, which is pretty deep as well, in my opinion. Um, so by the end of the film, Joker comes to embrace who he is, and in the middle of that, he's surrounded by people who has clown masks, and they're basically looking to him as a hero. They're praising him because right up to that point, the society is also fed up. Just like he's fed up with people around him bullying him, the society's fed up with the fact that the rich always get away with everything. That they're fed up with income inequality gap, and so they rise back. They fight back. That's basically it. At the end of it, and some other violent stuff as well. I don't want to spill too many details. Now, did I come out of the theater in Toronto? I was like, oh my god, let's start a riot. Let's start an uprising. No, because that's not the first time an uprising has been depicted in a movie. Hell, The Dark Knight Rises in 2012. Let's just use that example. Even though it might be a little bit sensitive because of the Aurora, but there's an uprising there too with Bane. And there's a bunch of other movies out there as well. So I don't know. It's just I can't wrap my head around the argument that's focusing on. It's as if like, oh, this one movie, Joker. No other movies. This one has the power. This one has the influence. This one is the one that's going to get people riled up. I don't know, man. I'm not on that camp. I'm sorry. Now, in my response to the news about U.S. military warning their service members about incels possibly committing mass shootings, here's my stance on that. If there is a warning, it needs to be paid attention to seriously. If there's a warning, whatever warning of any threat, don't take it lightly. Pay attention to it. Report it if you need to. I don't do not ever make light of any possible threat. If there's a warning, heed that warning. Listen to it. I'm still in the belief of like there's no, you can't blame gun violence on movies. But if there is a sign or some news about some of these dumb assholes, incels trying to do something stupid, um, be alert. All right, be alert. Just be cautious and follow the instructions in the theater. Whatever theater you go to, if the theater prior to the screening of the Joker, if they have some sort of instruction up ahead, beforehand, listen to the guy with the microphone. Maybe they'll do some kind of a airplane sign exits thing. Who knows? Follow the instructions. So I hope that it doesn't happen. All right, we can always hope that none of these threats come to reality. Yeah, that's my response to that. So and if it does, God forbid, happen, keep in mind that they already planned it before the screening. So it was not even like or it was not like they were caused to act violent. The cause was by the movie. You know what I'm saying? So, and I hope that the law enforcement and everybody in the security in the theater as well, that they would be vigilant, just like the audience be vigilant as well. So, um, I want to close with this. I want to close with this. There was this movie called The Hunt, I believe, a few weeks ago or last month that got canceled from its release because I think the trailer got yanked also from the web because the trailer hit the web during the same week, I believe, as the El Paso mass shooting, which is horrible. And so Universal Pictures also pulled the film from its intended release. So now the film is on the shelf. I mentioned that I tweeted that, okay, I understand. It's totally understandable. The timing, if they need to be sensitive, they need to be considerate because the movie does have a lot of sort of, you know, people gunning down people scenario. I get it. The timing is just not cool. And if there is, for example, God forbid, if there is a mass shooting happening this or next week leading up to October 4th, I think WB should postpone the release of Joker, in my opinion, out of respect for the victims. It's only right. It's only right that way. Um, but again, the to put some correlation, to put some connection, it's like, oh, it's because Joker that happens. It's a stretch, man. It's a reach, okay? Um, and I'm always pushing back whenever somebody says, "Hey, maybe we should cut that part out. Maybe we should edit that part out. Maybe we should lower it to PG-13." No, no, this is a film. Let the filmmakers have their vision. Whether it be bad or good, that's up to the audience and the critics to decide. But you gotta give art its due. This freedom of expression. Um, don't get in the way of that. I'm always pushing back whenever somebody like gives the idea like, oh, it's too violent. Let's cut the violent part out. Like, but if you cut the violent part out, it might lessen or minimize what the filmmakers want to convey through the character or through the story. And Todd Phillips, speaking of whom, has said many times that this is not a movie to endorse violence. No, not at all. Not at all. And again, as I said earlier, the concept is pretty familiar. A guy who, ultimately has it up to here and is like fed up with getting bullied all the time. So he's like, you know what? I'm going to kill you all. You've seen movies like that before. But this time it's just it's the origin of this iconic comic book character. So let me conclude with this. If you want to boycott Joker next week because you think the movie is too violent and you think that it's not good for society to watch that kind of movie, that's your opinion, man. You're entitled to your opinion, okay? In the words of Big Lebowski, yeah, that's your opinion, man. But my opinion, I would say that you are missing out. You are missing out on a very, very well-made film. From filmmaking standpoint, man, all the elements involved with this: sound, cinematography, performance, directing, editing, it was nicely done. Jokers. So If you're a cinemaphile or cinema aficionado, you definitely want to watch Joker at least once. You know, otherwise you're missing out. That's just my opinion. Um, but to answer the question of the title of this video, no, I do not think that Joker endorses violence. So the idea of Joker promoting violence, in my opinion, is dumb. Is dumb. All right. Just like Natural Born Killers, Natural Born Killers, the movie was not like, by the end of it, there was no like, by the end of the end credits roll, there was no writing that says, all right, you guys, thank you for watching our movie Natural Born Killers. Now go out there and kill some people. No. And there's no strobing or some sort of weird mechanism or whatever that kind of gives subliminal message. Oh, while you're watching the film, there's like this wavelength. Oh, kill people, go. No, no. Um, the mass shooters, like the one in Aurora, it's horrible. I'm glad he's in prison now. He's a despicable human being. Um, he if you read him up, he was a mentally ill man with lots of guns, and he went to that midnight screening. Maybe he's seen the movie, maybe he hasn't. See the effect of what he did. Um, there's no really like, oh, it's because he watched The Dark Knight Rises that he did that. No, there was no correlation. So unfortunate what happened in the 2012 shooting. It's unfortunate. Um, but to say that, oh, he did that because Bane told him to, really. Um, so yeah, that's my opinion. I hope you guys watch it though. I think Joker will have a chance at the Oscars. Definitely Joaquin Phoenix. I think he will finally win his first Oscar, which will be interesting because Heath Ledger a decade ago won Oscar posthumously for playing Joker. And now a decade ago was Heath Ledger. Now a decade later, Heath Ledger might win an Oscar also for playing Joker. How awesome is that, right? And also October 4th, I don't know what the projected number is for Joker at the box office right now, the prediction, but I'm predicting that it's going to crush it. The other movies that opened that weekend, Lucy in the Sky, Dolomite Is My Name. I mean, people are going to enter October 4th and they're going to be like, what? Lucy what? Natalie Port who? Who's Eddie Murphy? Because they'll be flocking to see Joker. The whole thing with I forgot the whole thing with WB disinviting journalists from the red carpet, not allowing interviews on the red carpet. I think it's understandable because I would feel bad for the actors if they go, one by one, step and repeat. And if they get asked the same damn question by each press member, like, "Oh, what's your reaction to all this concern about Joker being too violent or promoting violence, possibly?" If they have to answer that all the time, and from one press to the next on the carpet, they would get frustrated. So, I think in a way, it's good that WB does not invite press to ask interviews on the carpet. From the perspective of the actors, I'll feel bad for them. Secondly, I'm old school. I'm a big believer in the concept of any publicity is good publicity. So this news about WB restricting access to interviewers on the red carpet, I noticed some of the reactions on Twitter, and everybody, like some of them are like, "Oh my God, you're attacking the press. It's supposed to be, you're supposed to allow the press." And then the other camp are like, oh yeah, good on you, WB. Like this is what the press gets, for you know touting about whole Joker promoting violence or whatnot. So and now they want access. Yeah, don't give them access. I so this has caused quite a fuzz online. But any publicity is good publicity. So when if you ban something, you know, whatever it is, it makes that something look appealing, right? Because it's like a forbidden fruit. You know what I'm saying? It was like, or if you, in this case, if you disallow press from covering your red carpet, now people see this news and they'll be like, "Ooh, wow, it's gone to that? Really? Wow, now I'm really curious about the movie." So, um, people I think are gonna be more tempted now, more than ever, to actually watch the Joker, which is why I said that it's gonna crush it at the box office. This latest thing about restricting access to the red carpet, that's another promo that I think will be effective to benefit Joker. Now people are gonna be like, "Oh, now I really need to see this movie. I really gotta check it out. I'm curious about how violent it is actually, and like, oh my god, like it's gonna crush it. The movie's gonna do fine at the box office, and I think it's gonna do exceptionally well at the Oscars, especially for Joaquin Phoenix. So yeah, go check it out, you guys. Sorry, it's a long video, but there's some chat here. Ruben says, I think the fear here is the phenomenon of the copycat killer. That part is the legit threat. The one that made me angry was the Bruce Willis version of Death Wish. Got trashed when it was pretty damn good film. Princess Star, hopefully The Hunt will see the light of day on Netflix. Yeah, I want to see The Hunt. I actually wanted to see The Hunt. Uh, Unbelievable montages here. If a killer is inspired by a movie, wouldn't make sense to blame the movie because that person acted on their own decision. Exactly. And dude, the last time I even like remotely come close to like being affected by a movie that I would try to copy what the movie does, like it's for cosplay reasons. I mean, I love Die Hard, but I've watched it many times. But you don't see me go up to like the tallest building, strap myself up with a fire hose, and try to crack one of the windows. You know what I'm saying? That one scene. I was like, anyway. Ruben says, "You mean Woody Harrelson wasn't talking to me with his eyes? I thought I saw something." According to reports, the Aurora shooter was mentally ill. He was wearing a gas mask, armor suit, no Joker makeup. I'm the Joker. It was the punk. Yeah, exactly right. So he was wearing something tactical, not necessarily Joker suit. Um, if this stuff bothered people, Ruben says, we'd have better background checks for gun purchases and more mental hospitals. Not whining about film content. Exactly, you guys. Exactly. Thank you, thank you. I'm glad you guys, see it the same way because blaming gun violence on movies and video games is a deflection. It's what people uses to deflect from the actual cause or the actual problem, which is the fact that we are drowning in guns and we don't have enough facilities for mental illness or access to healthcare for our mentally ill. Um, and the mentally ill can get guns so easily here, so easily. So again, in Indonesia, my homeland, we watch violent video games. We watch violent. I'm sorry, we play violent video games and we watch violent movies. But the rate of mass shootings there is low to none. Same with Japan. Same with other countries. That's the only common, like, I guess you could say, denominator, right? If you're wondering, you got to see the pattern here. If you're trying to compare our country with other countries, it's like, what is it that they have that we don't have? Like, how come we watch the same movies or we play the same video games, but they don't have mass shootings, but we do? The denominator is the guns, is the fact that our mentally ill don't get access to healthcare, the fact that are mentally ill can get guns easily. So I can go on and on and on, but again, this is not a politics channel. So I to Hollywood, to filmmakers out there, I would say to you guys, keep doing what you do, man. Keep making movies, keep telling your stories, keep keep being expressive. Whatever that you have in your mind that you want to write down on a script and you want to put it on the screen. Keep doing it. Don't let the don't kowtow to misleading talking points. Don't be afraid to express yourself. That's what art is. Be bold, be brave. All right. So to the visionaries out there, keep doing you. You do you, boo. So I think that's it. That's all I have. And go check out Joker. It's a fantastic film. It opens next week, October 4th. And go watch my review, my spoiler-free review of Joker right here on Rama Screen Channel. Thank you so much, Ruben, Unbelievable Montage, and Princess Star for chatting with me. And for the rest of you who are too shy to chat with me, share your thoughts in the comment section below. Let me know your thoughts about this. I want to hear them. What do you think? Are you going to see the Joker movie or are you going to boycott it? Why? Let me know. All right. And subscribe to this channel, press that like button, ring that bell. And if you can help support me, please support me at patreon.com/ramascreen. As always, let's rock this.